Praveen, it's great to see you again. Thanks for your time. I know you guys have had a busy year. I know that 2022 is off to a great start. It's wonderful to catch back up with you. How have you been? Tell me, how has ETEC been, and how have you been as personally, now that you're well settled in here, you've become a Rolo, and now you're practically a native Bogota person.
Sure, Loren, it's always a great pleasure to catch up with you and have a time spent with you, and I really enjoyed these conversations with you. So thanks for coming and thanks for having this space. I think it has been a fantastic journey, 2.5 years in Colombia. I really love this place, the beautiful nature around you, the fresh air, nice people, warm and welcoming, very good culture, and I think it's a very special world, out here in Latin America. So it's really has been a fantastic journey for me in 2.5 years. I think professionally it has been you can say 2 years of a lot of learning, personally and professionally. I think it was a great journey with a lot of ups and downs. Pandemic, nobody prepared for it. It came, and then you to really innovate every day to survive and I think thrive. That's what we always used to say, that that mindset of growth, that growth mindset, that possible mindset. So working every day on that possible mindset, going forward, planning, executing, going forward, and making a great organization. And I think we made a lot of progress in that, in the last 2 years, and we have grown very well in 2 years. We are doing well with our clients. We didn't lose a single client in 2021. We have gained many new clients. We are growing our wallet share with the clients. We're getting into many new services. We have a fantastic team on board. We have improved our productivity per person, and we are in green and we are growing. So that is the way forward for the organization. And now we are expanding. We are going beyond Colombia. We're just starting Mexico operations. We already started India. India did a good business in 2021. Only in 9 months.
Wow!
We saw a very good business in India, and we are also kind of bringing Peru along. So Colombia, Peru, Mexico, India, and it has been a successful run, and at the same time innovating and doing many things in parallel. So overall it was a great 2 years of experience working in Colombia and transforming and personally learning, working in the Colombian culture, with the team here, working with the Indian team, working with the exploring now the Mexico team, and how this all comes together to create value for the clients and help the clients transform and move forward. That's kind of what we have been working on. So it is good. Overall, very great experience.
Great. I know you mentioned your team, and I interact with your team a lot, and you're right. You've got a really great team. They say that the hardest thing to do is to hire properly, right? Finding talent, keeping talent. But it's like in sports, the coaches, the hardest thing that they have to do is to recruit and to manage the team. And but no, you've certainly got a world-class team. It's fascinating what you've done as far as you came on board with the plan to grow the company, to further internationalize the company, and you've been doing that. But it's interesting because I think that if I remember correctly, the first time that we did an interview was right before the pandemic.
Yeah.
And then the pandemic hit, and it's been crazy because as an IT security company, I know you guys do more than just security, but as a company that really has that focus, all of these companies that had technological debt that they had accumulated, they hadn't really completed their digital transformation journey. But now all of a sudden they have to look at how to deal with remote modalities and things like that, and you guys were here to help them along that journey. So how did the pandemic change the nature of the business that ETEC does, or change the relationship that ETEC has with your clients and customers?
Yeah, that's a great question, Loren. I think I divide this into 2 parts, and it's kind of a normal human behavior. I say the pandemic 1.0
okay,
and pandemic 2.0. I think 1.0 was all about being in shock, right? I don't know what to do, how to digitize, how to make people work from home suddenly. should be our process, what should be our process, how to ensure that our users are able to connect and work from home. There were many fundamental questions that came in front of the CIO or CISO, or in terms of the technology executives, and they all struggled because nobody prepared for it. Just suddenly came, and there was a lot of shock. The exchange rate went up. I cannot place my orders because exchange rate is. So everything slowed down, and everyone's first thing is, let me shut down or close, and then see what I should learn about this, and then I will be able to manage it. So the vision was very limited to short-term fix.
Right.
Short-term solutions to, really the basic thing was to make people work from home. And a lot of clients struggle with that because their firewalls were not sized to that capacity. We don't have infrastructure to scale, and the clients were asking for help. That can you help us, our users being connected to basic things like connection from home to office and let them work from home. I think that was the phase one. And we were kind of working with a lot of clients, helping them scale, helping them networks to be, in the cloud, digitize their networks, helping them doing with endpoint securities, looking at all the controls, helping them define the policies of work from home, helping them doing basic stuff so that they can be able to come out of that wave, In pandemic 2.0, I think there was a lot of learning curve from 1.0.
Okay.
And organizations realized that this is going to go for long, and we cannot sustain in this manner for very long. We have to have that growth mindset. We have to come back. We have to start surviving and thriving, And now let's start focusing on building that foundation for scale and growth. And that's kind of where the transmission started with many clients, where clients said, okay, I need to change my thinking. I need to change my approach, the way I've been working. I have to review my architecture. I have to look at my investments accordingly. What should I do in endpoint side, because the security is changing a lot. Can I go to cloud? Is my cloud secure? How is my networks? Is my zero trust networks? Is my network secure? How can I look at networks being scalable, and networks be designed to connect larger, diverse organizations, set of partners and ecosystem, not only designed to internally cater to my employees or internal stakeholders. So I'm kind of digitizing now, and I'm going to digital in big manner. And how quickly IT can or cybersecurity can help to digitize. So all those questions came in the mind of the C-level, and that's where the discussion started. I think one more challenge that came was that because of pandemic and because of the number of attacks, because you were not prepared and we went out, we saw a lot of attacks like ransomware attacks. We saw attacks like OT security attacks. We saw the US gas pipeline attack.
Yeah.
Right. We saw the attack on the food production industry. So those kind of became real, and then organization realized that the value of security. And I'll tell about the downside of that as well. So essentially what happened was everyone then realized that security is so important for us, because if we have to digitize, we have to go and work in a new era, in this new reality. We have to look at cybersecurity in a very different manner. And suddenly cybersecurity became a board topic, and I was reading that Gartner prediction that almost 40% boards will have a cybersecurity responsibility, and essentially it kind of became an executive topic. People are start looking at risk, a cybersecurity risk perspective, and start measuring themselves.
Right.
An OT attack became those common. I think that the downside was that there was a big churn in the industry.
Okay.
The talent was in shortage. Everyone was losing talent. If I go to any CISO and ask him about talent right now, there's a big question mark around cybersecurity talent. We saw almost 30-35% churn when people were looking for cybersecurity talent. And there is a shortage of skill sets. Everyone is looking for skill sets. We saw US companies moving their bases to Colombia, and start hiring people in Colombia. So that kind of created a lot of pressure on us. How do we kind of look at talent pool? How do we look at automation? How do we look at doing things differently so that we can scale? And how we can create a new talent pool,
right? So
that we can cater to industry needs. So those were the other sides of pandemic.
Yeah, I was talking to some of your colleagues, and I know a U.S.-based IT company that's been sourcing Colombia talent, and their CTO was crying to me. He said, we hire these people, and before they start in 2 weeks, they got a better offer, and they call us and they say, no, they doubled our offer. We're not going to come to work for you.
True.
And so the talent shortage is global. Now, it's interesting because who would have thought that we'd look back to the good old days of the pandemic, right? People wondered, well, we had 2020 and 2021, and this pandemic, and as that starts to moderate a little bit, now we have war in Europe. And between two cyber hacking powers, two countries that have very developed capabilities when it comes to that, are you seeing a difference in activity when it comes to malicious activity now, let's say this year in 2022? Is there any correlation between malicious internet activity, let's say security attempts and things like that, that would correlate with the hostilities that are happening in Eastern Europe right now?
See, I think the way I'm looking at it right now, that cyber warfare, and they had always existed, but
Right.
essentially the thing was that information has become so critical now that information is completely digitized, and you live in a digital world where everything is connected. We are kind of going more and more digital every day. You are working with a lot of your ecosystem, which is digitally you're working with your ecosystem, and you're exposing. So the number of threat vectors have increased over a period of time. Now, if you want to look at what has really happened in pandemic, no one was leaving behind, even hospitals, even your critical operations, and there were attacks on critical operations. There were attacks on hospitals.
Right.
There were attacks on legal firms. So essentially, the hackers have gone more and more towards the core infrastructure. They are trying to attack your OT systems, like what happened in the US gas pipeline attack, or what happened in the attack on the OT side for the meat production industry in Latin America. These are the kind of attacks which are getting into more malicious in nature. They are getting into more like human side, because there is a human risk here.
Yeah, in a hospital,
So this is a human risk attack. So essentially they're getting more sophisticated, they're getting more targeted, they're getting more on the critical infrastructure. As well as on the IT side, it was just more about information and data protection, and you have maybe a brand reputation risk, or you have a data risk, or you have ransomware attack. But when it goes to the OT side, it becomes human risk. So I think what has become is that the attacks have become more sophisticated, more targeted, and more critical in nature now. And that's kind of the reason that organizations have to be more prepared for cybersecurity. They have to invest in cybersecurity. They have to think it more strategically, not only just on the IT side, but also on the OT side. And I think it is going to become as a tool for a warfare, which is going to impact the economies, because that's what is happening. For so long, there has been a lot of IP breaches.
Yeah.
And IP is being taken out from many countries and taken to other countries. That has always been happening. So it's now getting more and more prominent, and that's kind of where we have to invest more and be more secure, or ensure that at least we are trying to protect ourselves as much as possible.
Understood. Now, of all the things that we've gone through in the last couple of years, and what we've learned, and now we see, I hate this word, but we all say the new normal now is the kind of what everybody says, right? It's like, remember, the paradigm shift was the one back in the 90s, but now we're in the new normal. But my question is, what have we learned from the last 2 years that we can apply going forward? So if we look at 2022, what do you see as the emerging trends when it comes to IT security? What are things that, as you interact with CIOs and as you interact with the leadership in companies and organizations, what conversations are you having now that maybe you weren't having in 2019 or 2020? Where are things headed?
Great. I think, Loren, the first thing is that cybersecurity is now as a business conversation. Okay?
Not just IT.
There's not a IT. So it's not a technology conversation. It is not a PR or risk conversation. It is a business conversation, the business risk that emerges because of cybersecurity. And essentially it's become a board discussion and a board topic. It will get more and more strategic. And I feel that the CISOs are kind of going in the direction, they're preparing themselves to become relevant to boards from a business context perspective, not just from the cybersecurity risk or information risk or data risk perspective. I think that's kind of one major change in cybersecurity. And the language of cybersecurity will change, because the board has a very different way of understanding cybersecurity. The language that they use is different from what the technical world uses. And essentially we'll discover more and more that language translation. How do you convert that technical language, that technology speak, that vulnerability speak, that patching speak, to to a business context and a business language. And I think that's kind of one major change, a major shift that is happening right now in cybersecurity world. The second thing I think pandemic taught us is to organize, clean up your mess. So I think we are realizing that organizations will start doing a lot of stuff on basic stuff, like, even looking at your assets inventory, assets consolidation, understanding what what levels of security you have, how much you're investing in different controls, how you're managing SLAs, how you're managing your providers, how are your third party, what risk they do carry for you. So all those kind of things is essentially becoming more important in the organization, you can say now moving forward. And there's a lot of focus on organization, cleaning up, putting your house in order, you can say. I think the third area which I'll see where there is a lot of work which is going is consolidation. I don't want too many tools and technologies, at different points. And there is a lot of diversified tools, technologies available. I think what CIOs and CISOs will look at is to consolidate and kind of standardize on some few platforms and reduce the number of technologies and number of tools that they have in their environment, and try to simplify, if I would say, standardize, I would say, as much as possible. So that will be another key trend. The fourth is, I think, because of the shortage of talent, the talent shortage will continue, and it will be a pain point for everyone, including the providers, including the clients. And I think there will be a lot of focus on automation. We'll have to automate, we have to standardize, we have to put few things in, I would say, as much as possible as a service model, where we can kind of start scaling without so much of people intervention.
Right.
And that's kind of where we will be, there a lot of focus, moving forward. How do we automate and how do we look at? I think the sourcing will also get diversified, like, we are doing in ETEC. We have now resource pool in India, we have resource pool in Colombia, we have in Peru. So resourcing will get more and more diversified across locations, connected to a seamless processes. You make them work across different locations. So that kind of automation plus the way you source, the way you standardize, the way you focus on process, and the way you make it more intelligent, that will be the key for many organizations to be successful moving forward. The other things I would say that they will have to continue with the trends like cloud security and zero trust networks, and focus on entity orchestration, because you're digitizing, you to orchestrate your entities across different you can say services. Supply chain risk, because like what we saw.
We're seeing that now.
So you have to look at your supply chain, you look at your partners and the third party risk and all that. So you have to cover that. So those trends will continue. Those will continue. Endpoints, because now endpoints are, edge devices are everywhere. So endpoints. So that will continue, and that will see a lot of investments in cybersecurity technologies. I think OT is getting a lot of predominance, as I mentioned. OT is becoming more and more critical. It is not only, it can be a warfare. Right. It can be human, impact. It is getting more critical because here there is no loss of information, but here is a lot of complete operations. So you are just looking at OT security is going to be a key, moving forward. So I think these are the major trends that I see which are emerging in 2022, 2023, and people will move a lot more towards service model. They don't want now essentially a lot of capex. So it's, as a service model will catch up a lot, and organizations will try to see that how they can bring different types of information from different controls together, and they can be able to be more intelligent in cybersecurity.
I think I have a friend who is a thought leader in RPA, and he uses a term digital labor. Where with being able to automate as much as you can using things like RPA, but smart RPA, not just RPA to have a basic bot to do something, but being able to automate and to build some intelligence into it, build a little bit of decision making capability into it, so that so now you have humans in more of a supervisory role, but then also using those same principles when it comes to security, to be able to look at things and not just be reactive, but to be predictive.
Yep.
Right? And say, let's look at a pattern of traffic, and I talk to to PayPal's head of security a couple months ago, and it was a fascinating conversation because they have to balance the fraud protection, for example, against the customer experience, right? Because you can make something super secure, but then it's a hassle to use and nobody wants to use it. So how do you make things as seamless as possible? And there are ways to do that. Now within an organization, we have to do the same thing for employees. We can't make things too much of a hassle because then they're going to start sticking their passwords on a sticky note and put it on their screen again or something like that, right? And so how do we make things as seamless as possible while at the same time making them as secure as possible? And so that's an interesting balance that people often, they think about it in a customer context, but don't always think about it in inside of an organization or inside of a company. Let's talk more, let's narrow down, we've talked broadly, but let's talk about ETEC. And let's talk about, ETEC, you've mentioned the company's growing, the company's doing very well with customers. I know that you guys are expanding into Mexico. You already have a strong presence in Peru, here in Colombia, in the United States, I think in Singapore and India as well. Which is amazing. It's truly an international company, and I think that one of the things that's exciting is that people are more and more thinking about Colombia and the Americas in general, or let's say Latin America and the Caribbean, for the IT talent that you and I know is here. But a lot of people are just now realizing. Now it's kind of a double-edged sword because we want to go, look, Colombia is great and Mexico is great. On the other hand, everybody's going to come here and the competition for talent is going to get harder and harder, right? But overall, that's a good thing because we look at places that have had success and that have a great reputation, and Colombia is rapidly joining. Peru is a little bit early in the evolutionary curve, I think, but still there's talent in Peru and Ecuador and other places. Let's talk about you want to be careful when you talk to a company because they're not ready to announce things, but I know that you guys, you've been growing the company, you've been moving the company up the value chain to be more of, you still can do the basic blocking and tackling, you still can do, run a security operations center and monitor that and outsource that, but I know that you're having more high-level conversations with your corporate client, and you're creating platforms and capabilities that will interact outside of the IT department, that will interact with the other people in the C-suite, that will interact with the board when it comes to governance and things like that. Can you tell me how ETEC is evolving and growing, and how you've been able to kind of leave your imprint so far on the company by not, I guess, changing the focus, but let's say narrowing the focus?
Sure, Loren. I think there has been multiple fronts of action in ETEC, and I think this is mirroring more from the client's perspective, because clients are maturing, clients are looking at transformation, clients are looking at meeting the new disruptive world, digitizing themselves and being able to be more secure in that world. And they're expecting more from ETEC, and ETEC has to match their expectations as well and scale along with our clients. So internally, ETEC has been doing multiple things. One is that we are building a lot of IP, or you can say intellectual property and assets or platforms which connect cybersecurity to business context. So we are trying to convert cybersecurity language into a business language, and we are empowering the CISOs to talk the business language, be more relevant to business, and giving them all the tools and data that they need so that they can have a business ready conversation. I think the second thing that we are also doing is we are defining a risk tolerance. Okay, and risk, because everything, a CISO cannot say that everything is in red or everything is in green. CISOs also have to be more careful when they talk to boards and they look at the investments. They have to see where they want to prioritize. If I am investing 200K to save 100K, it does not make any business sense, right? So I have to define a business context and look at it from a business point of view, and how does the risk tolerance looks like from cybersecurity perspective, and we are empowering CISOs to do that conversation with the board and become more relevant and become more, you can say, talking in that language of the board. That's kind of the second area that we have been working on, and essentially that's kind of a packaging into a platform that we are bringing into the market.
Exciting.
The third area that we have been doing is that we are looking at a lot of disruptive approaches towards cybersecurity, a lot of transformational approaches towards cybersecurity. So we are bringing a lot of new technologies, new tools, new solutions, but we're also keeping the platform mindset. Like if the CIs have to consolidate or CISOs have to consolidate, how they can best approach this. So we are changing the mix of tools and technologies the CIs, CISOs need and develop competencies around it so that we make it easier for them to standardize and consolidate themselves. They can organize themselves better. We are empowering them, educating them that how they can organize themselves better. What are the critical things that they should definitely capture and they should bring into their framework of their management so that they can be in more control of their organization, cybersecurity. They can mature themselves. The fourth area that we are doing internally is we have matured our own processes.
Okay.
So we are maturing our own processes. How we onboard clients? How do we engage with clients? How do we sell to clients? How do we win solution clients? So essentially we are developing a strong expertise, knowledge, know-how and knowledge base, bringing a lot of that expertise together and putting a lot of standardized processes, which is helping us to improve even our engagement with our clients and helping them to engage with their stakeholders better. So that's kind of other work that we have doing internally within ETEC. And the last is that we are creating a constant pool of talent.
Yeah, talent again.
Talent and sourcing that talent from different locations like India, Peru, Colombia. We are mixing that talent in a right manner. We are developing some new capabilities like on OT security, so those things which the market needs and creating the talent pool, essentially which we can make available to the market quite rapidly. So that is a key challenge for us, that internally we are developing our strong, you can say, onboarding programs.
Got it.
And we are kind of standardizing that more and more so that we can hire people fast and we can make them productive very fast. And that's kind of initiatives that we are taking internally. A lot of focus on those initiatives.
Great. But let me ask you, if I'm a client and I've never heard of ETEC and I am not really, and I'm interested in what you can do for me, okay? And I know that I need help with cybersecurity. I know that I need to increase my security governance. I'm worried about the vulnerabilities that I have. Why should I choose ETEC? There are bigger companies, there are bigger names, there are smaller companies that maybe are super specialized in one area or one vertical, for example. But why ETEC? I mean, you chose ETEC. ETEC recruited you and you chose to move all the way across the world to come to ETEC. So there was something in this secret sauce, there was something that was compelling to you. But from a customer perspective, what is it that if I go, okay, that's another cybersecurity company, but you go, no, wait, there's more. What is the there's more to ETEC?
Loren, and I think this is a great question because this is being asked to me several times. And everyone wants to know why ETEC, por qué ETEC. And I think there are 6 or 7 points that I want to list, which comes off my mind. One is, ETEC is a only player which I have seen in the market, excluding larger SIs, which has depth and breadth in cybersecurity. Okay, so it does not do only one area of technology, like it says it does endpoint, networks, identity access management, cloud security, DLP, endpoint, EDR. So you have multiple areas. ETEC has been in CyberSOC or MSS business for almost 15 years now, offering outsourcing services. We do managed services. We do, the support services. We do implementation services, consulting, advisory. So we have a breadth of services, and we have depth in multiple, multiple solutions lines. So essentially, that brings a lot of uniqueness to ETEC as compared to many boutique players who are doing only 1 or 2 areas. The second is ETEC is managing core critical operations for many clients. So you look at the largest telco, Telefonica, Claro. Mm-hmm. You look at the largest banks in Colombia. Everyone uses ETEC for their core security. Largest payment gateway, we are running network security for them. The largest bank, we are running database security for them. The largest, so we are running many core infrastructure. So we are not a player who is not managing. So we are some side applications or some infrastructure that is not so critical. We are managing very, very core infrastructure, and one mistake can bring the entire transportation system down in Colombia. So those kind of, the pressure on our engineers who are managing those infrastructure, who are securing those infrastructure, is quite high on our team. So we are an enterprise grade critical infrastructure player, critical operations player. That's kind of brings a lot of uniqueness to ETEC. The third area which ETEC does is that ETEC has been a very mature and professional organization. We have professional talent, we have a professional management systems, processes. We have ISO certified for many years now. And we have our internal processes in different parts of the organization, even starting from sales process all the way to onboarding process to all the way to delivery process. So we have invested in all the latest technologies, tools. We use many systems like SAP, Salesforce. We use Service Manager. So we have built an organization which is running on systems and processes with a professional management, which you don't find in many small to medium organizations. You might find in very larger size, but specialized cybersecurity companies, you will not find them many like that. The fourth area is that we are kind of bringing the best of the best talent into the organization. We are very stringent in our hiring processes. We do a lot of competency-based hiring. We have well-structured onboarding programs. We're developing that. So we are very concerned about our people, and we want our people to be happy. Mm-hmm. We are focused on our people happiness. We want to be great place to work, and make this as a great place to work organization which is looking at best talent coming into ETEC that can help our clients move forward, and that has been a great strength for ETEC. The fifth is ETEC is sourcing globally now, so ETEC is having source talent in Colombia, India, Peru. We are looking at how we can bring different types of expertise across different parts of the world and bring into a common framework so that we have a consistent service experience with our clients. So that's kind of other differentiator for ETEC. And the last I would say that which ETEC is doing very well is that ETEC is having a purpose of bringing peace of mind to our clients, right, and to larger community. So we want to serve our community, we want to serve our clients. Community, we are community focused. We have a couple of foundations that we support. We support Vipassana Foundation, we support a couple of local foundations. So we have a purpose of bringing that principles of having that joy of serving community, the peace that you get from that, the tranquility, you bring that into the organization, into the culture of the organization. Where you say we have a transparent culture, we like to help, we like to do teamwork, we have a harmony in the organization. And that is very important for us as an organization, which is where we have a teamwork, we have harmony, we have transparency, which is ingrained into our culture. And that's very aligned to the communities that we support and the foundations that we work for. And that's kind of, I think, is a uniqueness in ETEC, because we have that space in our management to talk, to discuss, to express disagreements, right? Don't have fear on disagreements, to have that, to feel comfortable in sharing openly. And that you don't find in many organizations, and that is harbinging, that harbingers, you can say, innovation, that harbingers change, that harbingers transformation. So this is essentially a very critical differentiation which I don't see in many organizations, and I find that I will really feel proud that we are building that culture in the company.
I see it as someone who interacts with you all. You notice the difference, and I think all of us who have a couple decades of experience have been in companies where maybe we loved what we did, but we didn't love where we were doing it. Or we've seen toxic environments, or just a toxic boss. You might be in a place and the company's okay, but just one person, maybe your direct person that you report to is either a bully or not supportive. But when you have the right culture, a lot of that is, again, going back to talent. It goes back to the people you bring in. It goes back to bringing in good people. It goes back to bringing in people that are going to be good mentors and leaders, so that they're supporting servant leaders, I think is the word that people use, where if I have a team of people under me, how can I support my team? How can I help them grow? Okay, I want them to get promoted, and if I lose them, that's okay, because I'm going to bring somebody else in and help develop that person. Now that person got promoted and now is my peer, and the company is big enough where there's room to grow, I think. And you, as the CEO of the company, where a large part of your responsibility is growing the company, the bigger the company gets, the more opportunities you create for those people that are members of the ETEC community.
Very true, Loren. I think sometimes we say we need operational leadership, and what we need is leaders who can fold the sleeves, work with their team, help them resolve, look at the issues, listen to the teams, and work along with them to solve problems. And every problem is solvable, and we will find a solution someday, not so quickly or maybe later, but having that patience and grit to work together and move forward. And that's kind of where we are inculcating that a lot in our leadership team. That coaching style, the feedback style, the reflections is a very important part of our organization. So that's very true what you just mentioned, and that's kind of the people we are trying to bring and make them come into the organization. We want very smart people who challenge us.
Yeah.
We challenge them, and we are able to find something better every day and do it better every day.
Last question. Not so much an elevator pitch, but you're in an elevator with somebody you don't know. But they're a corporate leader, and they go, when should I call ETEC? Who should call ETEC? What kind of organization makes an appropriate client for ETEC? And your clients contact ETEC when they need what?
And that's a great question, Loren. So I think ETEC is an enterprise-grade cybersecurity service provider, right? Who leads or brings innovation, helping you transform your organization in a secure manner, right? And ETEC digitize cybersecurity for you. So essentially, if you are looking for core, critical infrastructure, critical security, and you're scaling, growing, digitizing your business, and you want it to be secure, you should look for ETEC. So that's kind of where ETEC really does well, because we are more of an enterprise player. We work on many critical operations. We work on critical operations cybersecurity. We bring a lot of value add to our clients by giving them more robust architecture, more robust understanding, helping them organize cybersecurity, helping them digitize cybersecurity, helping them convert cybersecurity into a business context. So we are a strategic partner. We look for a strategic partnership with them, helping them scale and grow. And generally where we look for more progressive organizations who are looking or believing in innovation, who believe in transformation, where the CISOs are looking to be up their game, going to the next level. And that's where ETEC really fits well with them, helping them drive a lot of value from cybersecurity.
You also do training though, right? Because, we talked about enterprise clients, but there's also an opportunity more broadly for even smaller organizations or people that are trying to develop an in-house capacity, or I would imagine an individual. I want to get a CIS, I want to be a CISSP, I can go through ETEC and get certified as well, right?
So that's a great point. ETEC does a lot of training. ETEC has trained the largest amount of professionals in cybersecurity in Colombia and in Peru. We have trained more than 6,000, 7,000 professionals so far.
Wow.
And ETEC has a lot of capabilities in training and awareness. We work with a lot of enterprises to help, to get them to the certifications, desired certifications, also run many different awareness programs. And we also work in the retail with a lot of individuals contacting us and getting trained on cybersecurity. We have our own courses. So that has been a ETEC contribution not only to clients but also to the larger community, developing skills in cybersecurity. And that's what also part of the program that I was mentioning earlier. We're creating a talent pool. We're bringing in talent, we're training them and making them available to be used in ETEC as well as in the market. ETEC is one of the largest hunting ground for many of the companies.
I would imagine. If I'm going to go to the pros and hire their people, right?
And some of the people of ETEC get hired without interviews, So you're working in ETEC, okay, come on.
It's like McKinsey or BCG in strategy consulting.
So
you're at a McKinsey, we want a McKinsey guy. Yeah. That's not necessarily smart, but that's what a lot of people do, right?
Yeah, so essentially they hire a lot of ETEC talent without even interviews. So that's kind of where we continue to serve the market. We train our talent and groom our talent constantly. We continue doing that. And education and awareness, the practice that we have really fits well. And I think we have a bigger, stronger role now to play because there's a global dearth of cybersecurity talent in the market. There are not many professionals available. So we have a bigger role to play here with our education and awareness service in the market.
Well, it's always fun to come and talk to you. we'll have to have a whole separate conversation and talk about the last couple of years. The first time we talked about you were newly adjusting to life in Colombia, and now you probably know the difference between a rolo and a paisa and a pastuso and all the 60 different types of potatoes in Colombia and everything like that. But you know, it's a great place to live. I hope that you and your family are adapting well and are enjoying. There's so much here. You know, I came, said, well, I'll spend a year there and you know, then go somewhere else, and that was 9 or 10 years ago, and I'm still here and have no plans to leave. And it really is fascinating, but also convenient, because I know that you were traveling recently. I was just in Europe and Africa, and it's very easy to get to other parts of the world. We're Bogota is an international hub. We're close to Panama City. Medellin's becoming an international hub. So many advantages, and so I think that it's also really, I know that ETEC is a truly international company with the presence in many different, you know, you can no longer say it's just a Colombian company, but still having the operational presence here that you do. I think that that's just, not only is it exciting, but it speaks to the talent that that you and I both know is here in Colombia, advanced talent. A lot of countries are early on their maturity, and they're developing IT talent. They want to be Costa Rica, or they want to be India, or they want to be a Colombia or Mexico, but they're not there yet. And I think that, you know, with a medium-sized country, 50 million people here, some excellent universities, some excellent non-university training avenues, ETEC is one of them. The talent is growing here, and so I think that any company, anywhere in the world, any organization should not hesitate to use Colombian talent. Maybe not hire them directly, but they should go through ETEC.
Yeah, definitely, and I think that's our aim, that we provide security service globally. We can start serving in Mexico, Colombia, India, you know, and Peru, and even in US and other markets in Latin America. So we are building a base gradually, and we'll start providing as a service model. It does not matter where talent sits. It's a service that you get from whichever location you get it, on a consistent basis across the markets, and which is able to meet your service levels and give you that assurance. And that's what ETEC is working towards.
Absolutely. It's always great talking to you. I'm looking forward already to the next time. We'll vary it up again and talk about life in Bogota. Maybe some of the things you've been able to see with your family now that the pandemic is lifting. But I think we have quite a bit of material for now. And I know you have an organization to go lead. So thank you again for your time, and it's great to catch up as always.
Sure. Thank you, Loren.
Absolutely.
Thanks a lot. It is always great to catch up with you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Stay safe.
Thank you.